Okay. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. I think I'm going to wait a bit until we start, like 1 or 2 minutes, and then we can start. But thank you so much to be today with us for this career talk. A very warm welcome to our career talk organized by the ISWA Young Professional Groups. And let me wait until more people appeared till now. Okay, I think we can start now. So thank you so much for joining us today in this career talk. My name is Cynthia Lara, and I will be moderating today's session. I am an environmental engineer, and right now I'm doing my PhD at the University of Rostock here in Germany. And I joined the Young Professional Groups last year and currently serve as vice chair of the Career Development Group. So we are very happy to organize these kind of events to show the young professionals what are the possibilities in the environmental field, and also to try to bring some new skills, new tools, and also to make some networking. So I would like to give the floor to Kartik, who is going to show us a bit about the ISWA Young Professional Groups and what is it about. So please, Kartik.
Hello, everyone. Welcome on behalf of ISWA YPG for our Career Talks session here. Okay, so let me quickly just introduce you to our YPG group. This is our team with different leaders and vice chairs handling different working groups. And other than the working groups, we also have close to 14 regional chapters. So you can see the list here, and we're pretty much globally spread out there. With our YPG, one of a big event that is coming in next 2 months is the World Congress of ISWA, and this year it's happening in Buenos Aires. And we would also be having one event there for YPGs, which is themed as Waste Leaders of Tomorrow. So by any chance, if you are coming to the World Congress, please get in touch with us. We'd love to have you there. With our young professional group, we are organized into four different working groups. As it goes, it's online discussion and career development, awareness and education working group, local and regional networks, and research and innovation. So with online discussion and career development group, which is also the one organizing today's session, we do multiple webinars and discussions around waste management space. And there were also certain trainings that we did last year focusing on LCA and e-waste management. With the Research and Innovation Working Group of YPG, as the name goes, the main focus is on research elements. One of an outcome a few months ago was the group came together and published a peer-reviewed research paper. And there was also an online conference that happened in July. And we'll be doing very similar activities in the coming year also under this working group. The Awareness and Education Working Group has a focus basically on promoting circular economy and waste principles, but from a perspective of outreach. And if you go on the website of ISWA, you could also find more details about the events that the group has done. They've also published certain fact sheets that they collected under the call for best practices. And there's an upcoming event from this working group also, which would be focusing on tourism waste. And lastly, we have a local and regional group where the focus is to engage and network with people working in the waste space. Often, as a young professional, it's not very uncommon to find yourself alone, being passionate or moving around waste, but not having much people to talk about. With the regional groups, we try to bring more regional activities forward, regional voices forward, and also connect people in particular regions. So as I told earlier, we have 14 different 14 different regional groups, and all the regional groups are connected through WhatsApp. So if you're interested in joining your regional group, you could just write us and we can add you in that working group. And one of the last process or activity where YPGs are always involved is EFART. So ISWA is actively involved with EFARTs also, and there are total 5 EFARTs that happen, 4 regional and 1 in Munich. And this year we started an activity called Sustainable Future Challenge, in which the university students are coming forward to work on a real-time problem. Other than that, with YPG, we have our mentorship program, in which we try to pair a young professional with a senior person who's been having a great experience in the industry, and just have like more like a one-to-one interaction and have some career guidance around it too. So, what you see on the screen now is like the ways you can actually interact with us or get involved. One of the easiest way is to join YPG group and stay up to date with our activities and participate in the ongoing processes. But we also very much welcome you to start your regional groups if you don't have any in your country, or if you are really passionate about any particular theme in the waste management. You could always even write us and we can facilitate you to start a new working group under YPG where you can do very similar activities like the working group of career development is doing today. Um so this is the list of our regional groups, and the WhatsApp groups are pretty open, and you don't have to be a paying ISWA member to join the regional groups. Um, we'll be sharing the presentation later, so you will have this contact details. So yeah, please, I encourage you to join the group. So that's pretty much about YPG. And as a vice chair for this year, on behalf of the entire Young Professional Group, I welcome you all and I wish you a very fruitful webinar and a discussion forward. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Karthik. Thank you so much for the information. And yeah, for everyone who wants to join the ISPA Young Professionals, please feel free to join the WhatsApp group, to send an email. And if you want, as it said, like be volunteer, be part of the group, just reach out to us. Yeah. Then I would like to begin with our first speaker, which is Dr. Haniye Jalalipur. She is representing the academic perspective. She's a waste and resource management expert. She earned her PhD at the University of Rostock in Germany, and she is doing right now her postdoc. So please, Haniye.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Patrick, and thanks, Cynthia, for uh, putting efforts and creating this session. I know it's not easy. So, a short background to me. Cynthia introduced me. My name is Haniye Jalalipur. I'm originally from Iran, and I did my PhD here at the University of Rostock, and then afterwards I stayed as a postdoc researcher. So my journey started with the passion for the waste management. I started, my background is actually agriculture, and during my study, I was always very curious, and I get to know some projects which was involved actually the phytoremediation of the leachate from landfills, and that was the path connected me to the waste management, and I stayed in that area for quite a line. I worked in a compost facility in a very big waste management facility in Iran for almost 5 years. And there I had to go to landfill, and because the compost facility was part of the landfill area, at least like 2-3 times per week, and I was responsible for that for the composting part. So because mostly like the practice in the countries, in the emerging countries, is to produce like compost from mixed waste. But I was always, as I said, curious to know what can be done. I started to learn more and research more, and I found out that this is not the proper treatment option. And actually, the proper treatment action is to source separate of organic waste and then produce a very clean like product that can be used in the agriculture with safety. So that makes me to learn more and try to know more. And I was seeing that there was all the infrastructure was there. And even I found that, okay, they are collecting some of the organic waste separately from markets. But when it comes to the big composting facility, because there is no actually knowledge or no forced to do this separate treatment, it's mixed with the other waste. So that was the part that I tried to look around, and I found, okay, there is an option that I can learn and I can exchange more from with the universities and academia. And I found that I can do a PhD in Germany, but on my topic, on the topic that I was challenging. And that is how I found the University of Rostock, because they had like this department that offers some this sort of PhD, which was research based, and they had expand experience in the developing country, and especially like in the Middle East and North Africa. So fortunately for at that time, they had also a small project in Iran, and I could start having interviews with them, and I could like contact with the professor. And when they went, they were in Iran. They could even visit my project there and in the landfill. Sorry, I have to collect. And that is how my journey in the academia begins, which was like sort of mixture of practice and academia, because what I had to face in the PhD in the compost facility was not exactly what I could reflect in the academia, and that was the challenge. And because I was for 5 years away from the academia, it was somehow overwhelming for me also to come back to the academia and uh, like find a way to connect my very technical background with now an academic like area. So what makes it easier for me was actually to connect with the people and know more how can I turn this experience that I have in the technical background, how to make it into a valuable options for me, asset for me in the academic world. And that is where I found ISWA actually. So I knew about ISWA even when back I was home. It was one of the websites that I was always looking at when I wanted to know more about the recent publication, what is going on inside academia, new regulation, because ISFA gives you like a broad understanding of what is happening in the world in the context of waste management. And it gives you like the opportunity to look into especially different topics and see what are the new options, technology, even regulation, what is happening actually around the world in the waste management. And when I came here in Germany in 2019, I stayed the two first years of my PhD in Iran, because I had to like collect data and do all the site exampling and so on. And then in 2019, when the field work was finished, I came to Germany and I had to stay. So for someone who was very active, who was actively in the field, coming back to the office only to putting the samples and giving information. And I was when I left the municipality in Iran, it was in the we were in the stage that the compost was generated, and we were even selling it to the farmers. And because it was a very new activity, even the person who was in contact with the farmers, and they were coming to me to ask what kind of plants they have, how they can use the compost. So from a very day-to-day interaction with the market and with the also with the technical, I came to Germany in 2019, end of 2019. And then suddenly I was seeing myself in a room behind a desk and a laptop and nothing else. So to be honest, it was also like a bit overwhelming. And then only like 4 5 months after I arrived, then it was Corona, and even it gets worse, and we were locked down. So as one can only sit and no react, or one can find a way. So that is when I asked around in the department, and I found out, okay, our university is a part of ISWA, and I get connected to the ISWA, and I ask around that how can I be a member. And yeah, that it is like when your organization is part of an ISWA, it is possible for you to get involved to the events, also to some of the events which are closed for non-members. But in the general term, also during the COVID, ISWA provided lots of online activity. So I get to know more about ISWA, and I get very interested in what is happening inside ISWA, and it gives me like a training during the lockdown, and I get to know the different better, like how ISWA works and how are the different activities. And it gave me the opportunity to become so active that after the Corona, and by the end of my PhD, I was the one who was very active in ISWA. And fortunately, again, something happens in the row. Our department becomes like more active, and the head of the department took the national membership of the ISWA. And once I was finished, there was like opportunity to work as a postdoc, and part of it was to work for the national membership. So I get the chance not only to work for the academia, but also to somehow take the responsibility for the international activity and represent Germany. And because we are based in the academia, it was the point was how do we can like bring closer the academia and actually the market, the big market around, and also inside even Germany, when the companies are wants to represent and work and go to the market on the international market, how to work with them with the university, with them to bring closer the technology with the academia, and also how we can like represent it on the bigger scale. So I started to take part in, because now it was part of my job. I was getting more and more involved in lots of ISWA activity, and also the sessions and events. So there was like I could attend the last three to like I would say four ISPA World Congress around the world. And then after like the first year that I attended the I attended the ISPA and World Congress. I get closer to the activities, and I could nominate myself for the vice chair of the Young Professional Group, and I got the vice chair position. And then last year I was the chair. And afterwards, now that I'm finished this year, I could get the position of the chair of the organic waste management group. So that's another like ISPA group. So I would say coming to the ISWA helped me to not remain in the bulb of only academia and also visit the technical part. And it gives me like a very good balance of what is happening on the field and what is happening in the academia, and where is this gap and where I want to see myself. And these vast event of ISWA, whether online or in person, it gives me also much a lot of opportunity to talks with the people who are same-minded, who that we are in the same situation around the world, and talk about the concern. What was their like? Anybody has like different journeys. So I met lots of people who has the chance to live in different countries, working in different big organization, or also in academia, partly in field. And it gives me better to options to understand where do I stand and what do I want next. So, Cynthia, could you also please tell me how long I have?
You have 4 minutes more, and then you're
Okay,
done.
uh, that is perfect because I want to also show some of the pictures, but yeah, I cannot find it. Okay, so um, uh, uh, to cap up, like to sum up, I would say that first thing in all the journey is really important that you really have a journey to yourself to know what you want, and to know yourself better, because if you know yourself better, then you can even easier actually to decide for the future when you are going to finish your master, or even if you decide to go to PhD. At the end of the study, you will have like this big concern that what should I do, what is my next a step, and yes, networking and then getting in connection with other peoples, and going to the events of like something like ISWA that give you the opportunity to meet people who are having or had the same concert. It gives you a big opportunity, but it's important that you know where you stand and where you want to be, uh, because if you do not know yourself enough, then when you are talking with each one, they may change your thought, and every time you get more even confused that what I want to do, or what I don't want to do. So knowing what you are passionate for and what you are really comfortable with, because if you are a person who likes to be in outside environment and talk with people and work with people, it's much different than with a person who you think you can imagine yourself to be most of the day like sitting and standing, and even having less contraction with people. That makes like the decision much easier, that if you want to stay in academia, or if you want to go out to the industry, or even you want to go to the consultancy. If you have a person who wants to have more adventure, or wants to know much more of the world, and you are not afraid of having much more stress, or having hard time, so these things will affect your journey. But yeah, you can like it will narrow down your options when you know yourself better. It will narrow down your options, and then when you have the chance to meet the people in an organization like ISWA that are maybe 3 to 5 years ahead of you, then you can talk to them and ask for their experience, and then you will get have a chance to like, okay, I think this is for me for now, and then you can try it. But yeah, then also when you go to the market, it's usual that after 2 3 years the journey change, and you can always change into the if you are in academia, change to the industry and or back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm almost finished. Yeah. So that was from my side. I wanted to show some photos of you from different uh, events. I will just show it in 2 seconds, and that is it, Cynthia, from my side.
Okay.
It's also interesting to, this is, yeah, this is how it looks like. Do you see my screen?
I can see it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so this is how it looks like for me, at least in the last 3 years, attending to winter school in America, World Congress in Singapore, in Oman, in South Africa, and attending ISWA study tour in Vienna, going to IFAT several times, and we had also the Young Professional Group. So yeah, I definitely suggest you, if you want to know yourself, talk to more people and travel more, and first knowing yourself, then you can easier decide for the future. Okay, that was from my side. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hani. Well, we will have the discussion at the end, so please feel free to write down your questions in the chat, and then we will put them together, and then we can discuss at the end. So thank you so much, Hani. And then we are going to move right now with Andrea. Andrea is going to share with us about the life in industry. She's currently a project management at BLC, the Battery Life Cycle Company. So she will share us about what was her journey and how she decided to go to the industry. So thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. I hope you can also see my screen. I make it now a bit bigger, and hopefully we can move forward. So perfect. Thank you so much for the invitation again to ISWA and the Young Professionals Group. My name is Andrea Dachik, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about my own path in industry. And this is something also I want to point out, that everyone's path is a bit different. Everyone has different decisions in life to take. And I have to agree here with Haniye about knowing yourself better. Of course, you can get a bit of influence from everyone else. And if you don't have a fixed idea of what you want to do, it's always good to seek for advice. But I would also propose to you that you also look and dig into yourself and know yourself. And how to do that is through a lot of exchanges, and also to try yourself to do different things. So I would explain a little bit on what I did and why. And first of all, I wanted to introduce myself to you. As I said, my name is Andrea Dachik. I come originally from Ecuador, from Quito, which is a city very high in the Andes in South America. I am an environmental engineer. I'm very passionate about it, and I dedicate myself to foster innovation and upscaling. I'm specializing in recycling technologies and waste management, but I'm also committed to sustainable development, and I like to portray myself as well as a community builder and an entrepreneur. Just a little bit on my road into this, a few lines. I started studying environmental engineering back when I was 17 in Ecuador. The way that this type of engineering programs work in South America, at least, is that you have, for the most, 5 years of engineering. And at the university where I studied, at the National Polytechnic School, we had even a semester before, meaning that you usually had between 6 and 6.5 years for your engineering degree. So as you can imagine, I was a very young person. With 17, almost 16, you already sort of needed to know what you wanted to do. Engineering was not running in my family. I think I was one of the first engineers, at least in the short group of my family, that started with this. Before that, some of my cousins did follow engineering, but environmental engineering wasn't a thing at all back then in Ecuador. I knew very few people that had ever heard of environmental engineering. So that was also an interesting path for me to follow, because no one actually knew what it was, at least not in my direct environment. There weren't also that many universities that provided this, and I chose the National Polytechnic School. One, because it's a public university. I really did want to study in a public university. I felt that sort of this is a right that we all have, and I thought, why not try it? And I got selected, which was also not that easy. And after, yes, a lot of years in the engineering studies, I finished my degree. And I did have between going to Germany, which was my second degree, and finishing school in Ecuador. I had also the opportunity to work for the environmental secretary in the city, in the municipality of Quito, where I come from. And that was a very eye-opening opportunity for me, because before that, our studies were very theoretical, I must say. I didn't have the feeling that we had a lot of connection with industry back then. I think this has changed radically during the years. But through sort of this connection with the community, with my city, and also with the industrial environment in the city, I also discovered that I wanted to go more into that area, to focus more on process engineering, on wastewater treatment, on waste treatment. And that's how I ended up searching for different master's degrees. I ended up deciding going to Germany, though this wasn't sure from the beginning on. I applied to various programs all over the world. I had the possibility to choose between 5 of them. But in the end, I decided to go to Stuttgart. And this also had to do with the fact that Stuttgart was very connected with the industry per se, because the south of Germany is a very industrial area. And I wanted to take advantage of that, to be close to industry. And also because before that, I had been already learning German. It started more or less like a hobby. I didn't see that I would maybe need it for my studies. I didn't know that back when I started studying German, as a language. I just did it for fun. But around 2011, when I was already a little bit more proficient in the language, I applied for certain scholarships and certain programs to have the opportunity to go to Germany, and also check if Germany was a place that I would like to live in, and to see also how it works with university, how students live, if it's the same like in Ecuador or maybe the US or somewhere else where I had already been. And I liked what I saw, and that's why I went to Germany in the end, because studying in Germany, I would say it's a bit easier in the sense that financially is more available usually to international students. In most of the regions, you don't have to pay the fees to study university. And also, usually, if you want to pursue, for example, a PhD, you also will most probably get paid as a regular person would in another position. So, and I also knew that you could get a bit of funding working as a working student, helping at university, or even, bartending or doing something else. I knew it would be easier to live in Germany than somewhere else as a student. So besides, of course, the quality of the master's programs itself at the university that I chose, I knew that the other things around life would be a bit easier for me there. And that's how I came to choose it. And it's been already quite a few years after that. I'm really happy also to share with you a little bit more about my career path. In Germany, I've had several positions in different companies. I've been technical project manager, I've been also project specialist, and now I'm leading a small team at the current company where I'm working at, which Cynthia already explained about. That's the battery lifecycle company. We belong to a bigger industrial group that's called the Remondis Group. Is the biggest recycling group in Europe. And this maybe the path has not been 100% direct, let's say, because I've had different positions with different focus areas, but all in all, I've stayed in industry this whole time. So that's a little bit about my career journey. I wanted to show you in pictures how it looks like. That's me with 17, finishing high school. Everyone super happy about that day, but also very curious about what is going to happen. Of course, you have some sort of definition of yourself as an individual during the high school phase, but afterwards, the world is completely open. And I think to a lot of you, working in international environments, knowing more than one language, being able to work in English, or having already done your master's degree somewhere else, the world is, I think, much more open than it was when I finished high school. For you probably now. So just take advantage of that. This is, for example, us taking samples at the river. I think it was around the 7th semester at university in Ecuador. So I knew also for me that was an important thing, to be connected to nature. Environmental engineering doesn't mean that you're always outside on the field, but it means that somehow you're also working together with nature, at least to protect it in some way. But more looking into, at least to what I do now, is the industrial processes behind it. So now I'm unfortunately not that much anymore outside collecting water samples, also because I'm not working now anymore in the water wastewater treatment. And then here you also see, for example, some pictures of me back then when I was quite young, in front of landfill in Germany. That was one of the first times I came to Germany. I saw, for example, that a landfill looks very different here than back then in South America. So that was also interesting to me to see the difference, that it's all covered. It doesn't smell at all. There's no organic material in the landfill in Germany. That is also very interesting because Germany doesn't even have regular landfills as I knew them back then. Then let me see. It's not working. Here you see also my group of students during the master's degree at a compost plant. Again, for me, that was very important in my decision to test, to have this exchange with industry and industrial sites. And that is also a reason why I wanted to come to Germany, and I stayed here because of the technology and technological development. And then here is more of a recent picture, as I was telling you about. I'm also very into keep being engaged to Ecuador, the Ecuadorian ecosystem, and I have tried to search for opportunities how to do that and combine that with my day-to-day work and my family. And what I did is that I started a program that's called Diaspora 2030 from the German Development Cooperation Agency. And what they give you is the opportunity to go to your countries of origin and work in a short time project. And for me, in this case, it was 3 weeks. And I worked together with the Ecuadorian Development Bank to create financial products related to circularity, circular economy, and material recycling, which was really interesting for me. Of course, I don't come from a finance or banking background, but there are ways to put things together and work together to push the transition into more circularity and more circular economy. So this is a bit of my experiences in a nutshell. I was asked by the young professional groups to talk a little bit about our decisions, experiences, and skills. And I thank you also for, yes,
Andrea, you have
Cynthia?
2 minutes, right?
Yes, thank you. About what has shaped my my current career, and I would say for me again has been trying different positions at several different companies, moving overseas that I was telling you about. I also did an exchange semester in Australia, which was for me a very eye-opening experience as well. Starting a position in Germany was definitely something challenging, but getting the first job, the first opportunity is always difficult, and later on you learn better how to cope with different things. Also, I think it's important to know when the time has come to change or move positions, and also to know that what you have been told probably is not what is going to happen in the end. So it can be that it's pretty nicely written what the position is supposed to be about, and in the end you turn out doing things completely different. Some other experiences that, of course, have shaped my career life is new work forms. After Corona, I think for all of us, life changed. I don't know if some of you have had already worked before Corona. If you did, you know that this was completely different than now it is. And I wanted to show you a bit of picture of my backyard. We also have a treatment plant in my backyard. I have an SBR system, as you can see, in battery reactor. Even though I don't work that much into the water aspect of waste treatment or wastewater treatment anymore, I still try to keep connected on different areas, on the things that I find important in my life. So I'll try to be really fast now about the skills that I've learned. I can tell you prioritizing things and time management is very important. Also, I can tell you that I'm an expert at packing. If I have 30 minutes, I can pack for a week or more, and I can organize a full trip because that is part of my work. I'm always going from one place to the other. Communicating with different audiences is also important part of being a project manager or in general product owner. Being able to communicate with people working at the plant, but also with my managers, with the managing directors of companies, with customers, and so on and so forth is something that you learn in the way. Reading fast, definitely looking for important details on all the paperwork you get to read all the time, new literature, new findings, but also anticipating expectations of people around me, my team, my colleagues, customers, and also always learning new things. And we won't be able to go through all my takeaways and for you, but I would just say in general, be proactive. This is always good, and look for opportunities. All in all, what this is trying to say, I put here some links later on. If you get the chance, I can give you as well the slides about the places where I've searched. For example, the Welcome Center of the different cities in Germany offer a great opportunity. There's also an organization called the Job Center. Also places, for example, or organizations like ISWA that also give you a lot of opportunities, but engaging with your local community in your home country or in the current residence place that you have right now. And from me, the last two sentences is, please don't be afraid to ask. Ask people around you. The worst thing that they can say is that they don't have time or they cannot help you. But maybe if you ask 5 or 6 times, then someone will aid you with whatever it is that you need. And yes, finally, also, as Hani said, just discover what you need to be able to work well. For example, think about your finances, how you like to work, when do you feel empowered, and what type of environment lets you thrive. So these are things that you'll discover with time, and don't be afraid to try. And if it doesn't work, just, go for another thing or a different position. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much. Yeah, happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Andrea. That was like a really nice highlight to the industry perspective and also for sharing your inspiring history. Thank you so much. Then feel free to leave some comments, questions for Andrea. And right now, I would like to move to Dr. David Lerpinier, who will share the experience working across academia, industry. He has worked on international projects. He already finished his PhD this year, so congratulations. And then he will share more about his pets.
Great, thank you, Cynthia. I hope you can see my slides. I'm just
I can see it.
Great. Well, I really enjoyed hearing from Hani and Andrea as well. I think I'm going to probably cover some similar themes and issues, and there's some really interesting thoughts there. I'm very much looking forward to the discussion session to hear people's questions. So I'm David Lepinier. I'm thanks ever so much for the introduction there. I've been a consultant for 25 or more years, and I've also been in and out of academia as well. So it's an interesting mix. And it's been an incredible journey so far. That's my CV, but that's a bit dull. So I think what I'm going to do is really talk through a few sort of key moments of that journey to date. I turned 50 this year, which probably sounds incredibly old to some of you, but I'm kind of thinking it as I'm kind of in the middle of my career. I've had been very lucky over the last 25, 27 years, is it? To be involved with some really interesting issues, some fascinating projects, to have worked in lots of different parts of the world, and most importantly, with some really interesting people. And I think as Hani and Andrea both said, you know, people are important. Who you work with is really key. So I've been very lucky, and I'd like to think that in some way, I mean, we're all very small cogs in a very complex machine, but in some way, I'd like to think I've had some positive impact there. So I'm you know, really hopeful that in the next 25 years of my career, I'll continue to be able to do something similar. And that's a really important value for me, actually, in terms of what we do. You know, we have to earn a livelihood, we have to pay the rent, but we need to enjoy what we do, and we want to have a positive impact at the same time. I expect that's why you're in this sector and involved in this kind of issue, or interested in getting involved in these kinds of themes. So what I'm going to do is just gently talk through, I think, 4 or 5 kind of key phases or parts of my career, and maybe that'll give you, you know, that's my journey. Everyone's journey is different, but that'll hopefully give you some thoughts of what you can do. So going back a bit, I guess going back to when I was at school. So when I was about 15 or 16, I sense when I was beginning to think a bit more seriously about what I might do in the future, not very seriously, but a bit more seriously, and went beyond being a rock star or an astronaut. And I was really into trees and woodland and forests. You know, I wanted to work in forestry. I've always been interested in environmental issues. I mean, my father was a biologist and very active conservationist. I think I felt that's probably where I was going to go. But for me, it was about forestry. I did some interesting work experience around forestry at the time. But then I had the opportunity to do some more work with industry while I was at school. And I would say that's a great opportunity for people to use. I'd love to see more of that, people getting exposure to what the working life is like. And I read a book that talked about lots of different careers, and it mentioned geologists. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. It involves going into the outdoors and doing some stuff involving science. I thought, brilliant, I'll do that. So I went and did some work experience in geology instead. And that kind of took me down the path of doing a first degree in earth sciences, which was fantastic. Not really what I expected to do. It was a bit of a last minute decision. And I guess that what kind of tells me that actually sometimes you can kind of think very hard about these things, but sometimes serendipity sort of leads you down, and you never know where that'll go. But I think that the important thing is to kind of embrace that and enjoy it and really build on it and see where it leads. So that was kind of a first key turning point for me. There was an accidental interest in geology and heading off to do a first degree in that. So after that, I got my kind of first with after a very brief dabble in the oil and gas exploration industry with British Gas, which wasn't for me, for all sorts of reasons. I then got my first proper job with a consultancy in Cambridge, looking at pollution issues in groundwater. So I spent a lot of time traveling around doing the kind of stuff that you can see on the left here. Some of you might have seen something like this before. It's a percussive drilling rig. So I spent a lot of time sampling groundwater and soils and rock to understand groundwater pollution. So this is pollution in drinking water and other water sources underground, and then trying to figure out ways to solve those problems. Really interesting projects, quite challenging in many cases, because once solvents or hydrocarbon products, for example, have got into groundwater, into aquifers, it's incredibly difficult to get them out again. I'll come back to that in a minute, why I sort of ended up focusing on other issues in due course in my career. But this is fascinating stuff, including things like injecting sugar solution into aquifers to stimulate microbes to degrade solvents into benign products and solve contamination that way. Lots of fascinating stuff, applying science in the real world. And I think that gradually led me into my first sort of exposure to the waste sector. Clearly in the UK, for example, as in many other parts of the world, there was many decades of uncontrolled disposal of wastes, tipping waste into the ground with no engineering controls of any sort. What at the time was called dilute and disperse. Sometimes it's called the solution to pollution is dilution, in the sense that you put waste in a hole in the ground and don't worry about it. But the legacy of that was that after many decades of doing that, there was lots of groundwater pollution in parts of the UK. So part of my work actually involved looking at waste and waste sites and the impacts of that. And I guess that led me on to sort of stepping back from, moving out from the ground, from away from geology and earth science and into broader issues, particularly focused on waste. And I think that partly because, I think we probably all understand that waste is a challenge to tackle. We really want to see those valuable resources captured and their value maximized, and also the quantity of waste generated reduced as well as part of a circular economy. And I guess my career at that stage then started to move into looking to those kind of issues. I moved roles a couple of times, moved through different consultancy organizations, but working with large and small consultancy organizations. Started traveling a lot more to do things like environmental audits of industrial facilities. This is an industrial facility in the Middle East. As you can see, it's causing a few issues locally. So I had some fascinating experiences trying to work with companies and governments to tackle these kind of issues. So really kind of moving upstream, if you like, moving away from the problem in the ground, where I started my career, to thinking about the issue as a system, really. So where are these issues? Where is the challenge starting from? It's about how we use materials, how we process things, how we consume things, and then how we discard them at the end of their life. So it was a fascinating phase of really gaining some experience in different industry sectors, if you like, but working as a consultant. And I took at that time the opportunity to do a part-time master's. So I, having studied, I've got a very science-focused first degree. I really wanted to broaden that out. So I did a part-time master's degree with the Imperial College and their external program. And I had the opportunity to do some really interesting stuff, learn about environmental economics, sociology, management theory, lots of things that took me well beyond what I'd learned at university in my first degree. And it was a really powerful combination of working and studying at the same time. It was hard work. I spent a lot of late nights writing theses and learning things, but it was really powerful to be able to take what I'd learned in my day-to-day job and apply it to my learning, and apply the learning in my day job on a daily basis almost. It really sort of I really rediscovered a passion for learning at that point, which I think I'd probably lost through many years of sort of education up to my first degree. It was great to go back and rediscover that passion for learning, and it was a really powerful opportunity. And then the kind of next phase was we're moving beyond that, and I started to sort of take on more senior roles with larger consultancy organizations. I built consultancy teams, teams, built essentially divisions of companies to deliver, effective technical consultancy work, mainly focused on resources and waste management issues. This kind of thing, really. This is a river in Ethiopia. As you can see, there's quite a lot of plastic floating down there. So these are the kind of technical projects I was getting involved in, and trying to tackle and try and find solutions for, working with local government, working with central governments, working with businesses, and working with international institutions. And I guess just one thing to say there at the same time, as well as the sort of technical aspects of this, it gave me a great opportunity during that phase of my career to develop my kind of soft skills, as some people might say. So, learning to work well with people, how to motivate people, how to help people, support people to get the best out of them, to help them feel empowered to do really good work, how to get organized. I think Andrea said how important it is to be organized and manage time, fundamental to day-to-day working, really. So all of those soft skills are really important. And I think during this phase of my career, I was very lucky to have the chance to build those skills and get some good training on it as well through the organizations I was working with. But through that work, I was having a bit of a crisis of confidence around waste. I was seeing waste sites all over the world. I spent a lot of time working on dump sites, seeing scenes like this in East Java, which is a beach which is over 2 feet deep in plastic waste, and thinking, well, what are we doing? Why are we investing in these projects and not in those? Why are we trying to solve the problem by doing this and not that? And I was particularly interested in the flows of development finance. So this was about 10 years ago or so. I spoke with some colleagues at University of Leeds and said, look, I think this is a really interesting issue, and I'd like to look at it from a more academic perspective, not from a practitioner perspective, but from an academic perspective, and just take a step back. So they said, that sounds great. Let's do a little research project. And I rather naively registered as a part-time PhD student to do this as a kind of research project, and joined the team there. Over that period, I've done lots of different things with the University of Leeds as part of the Institute of Environmental Engineering and Public Health. A small part of that has been my PhD research, it has to be said, but it's been a great opportunity to really sort of take a more academic, research-focused perspective on these issues after having spent so many years sort of working at the coalface, if you like. So it was a great opportunity. It's not for the light-hearted. Again, it was a self-funded PhD, almost like a hobby, to be honest. And it was sort of occupied any time I could find to do it, to progress it, which explains why it took me so long to get there, because I was busy sort of doing the day job, still operating as an independent consultant, and also trying to do this research as well. So I was lucky enough, a couple of years ago to have the opportunity to do research, to take a role as a research fellow at the University of Leeds and really just focus on that. It's probably the only way I managed to finish the PhD, to be honest, is to say, right, I'm just going to get this, just need to get this finished and really focus on it. So as Cynthia was saying, I completed that PhD earlier this year, successfully defended it, and graduated a few months ago, which was a wonderful, milestone for me. Thank you. Yeah, really. And it was, to be honest, part of it was I'm clearly one of an older PhD student. Obviously, it was great to be at the graduation ceremony with my family, who were heckling me from the balcony as I collected my degree certificate. So that was lovely. But I think more broadly, in career terms, it was just great to be able to have. I felt really lucky to have that opportunity to take a more academic approach, work with some really great colleagues at University of Leeds and elsewhere to really explore these issues in detail, away from the kind of the day-to-day consultancy kind of project, which is very different.
Dave, you have 2 minutes.
Brilliant. I'll just wrap up then, really. So what am I doing now? Just a quick update. More of the same. A lot of the focus of my work over recent years has been on plastics pollution. I do a lot of work with the NGO Common Seas, who some of you may know, who are doing some great work with, particularly with small island developing states and coastal communities, trying to developing action plans and turning that action into implementation to tackle plastics pollution. I work with a really interesting consultancy organisation called Resource Futures, who work across the sustainable resource management sphere. And I also work with organisations like the World Bank, continuing to work as an independent consultant, doing some really interesting stuff around how we transition to a circular economy effectively. So I'll just wrap up with a few sort of key thoughts, really. This is going to echo, I think, in many ways what Hania and Andrea have already said, but I think the first thing that strikes me is, get interested. I love working with enthused colleagues, and I like to think that I'm quite enthusiastic about what I do as well. I think that's really important. You need energy in the workplace. Otherwise, it's just a drag. You don't want to be there. So get excited. Find what you find interesting and get excited about it. I think the other thing is to be flexible. Be open to opportunities as they come along, because it's very difficult to just stick to your path that you've decided on. I mean, hats off to those people who have done that. But it's a changing world. It's a challenging world in many ways to find the opportunities you want. Be flexible. Seize opportunities when you see them, and you really use that as an opportunity to get experience and to learn new things and to meet new people and to work with new people and learn from them. Everybody has slightly different ways of working. Everybody has different sets of knowledge. There's a great opportunity to really connect people, and every opportunity like that is a chance to learn something. And I think it's probably quite clear from what I've said over the last sort of 10 minutes or so. I think it's really important to keep learning. I think that come back. It's a changing world. It's a systemic, waste is a systemic problem we need to tackle. So we need to keep innovating and keep learning about how we can implement those solutions. And I personally have found it's really quite energizing to combine, to flip back and forth, if you like, between academic study and research and projects. It's not easy because they work in very different ways, but it's a great way to they bounce off each other. And I think it's really important that we can connect evidence and learning with application in the real world. And I think the final two things I would say would be, keep perspective. A career is what you do day by day is important, but everything else is important too. So don't let it overwhelm you. Sometimes you just have to step back and say, look, I can take a break. This isn't going where I expect. I'm going to take a breather, and then enjoy it. That's what's so important about this. We're hopefully having positively impactful work in what we do in this sector. Let's enjoy that. Thanks very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this inspiring talk. It was really nice to see your path along, how it came from rocks to plastic. It was really interesting. It was really fun. Okay, so right now we can start with the question. We have already some of them on the chat. Okay, so the first one is for Hanie. Was working in the industry a reason for the decision to continue in academia? Would you recommend first have a look on the industry before going to the academia path?
Yes, to be honest, yes, because I'm a very curious person, and I would love research and knowing more about things. But at the same time, I'm very practical. I don't like to stick to the only theory. So for me, the first step was interesting to go to the field and to know what is happening. But at the same time, I wanted to know, okay, if this is failing, if there is a problem, how can this problem be solved? And then when I was looking in the literature or in research and academia, in the like online, I was seeing like lots of very, very theoretical things that was not going to happen. It was not close to the reality. And then there was other technical things that maybe it was not possible, maybe because of the regulation or a technological aspect. So I wanted to come back to academia to see if there is a way to improve the situation that is practical, that can be happened in the reality, but at the same time is scientific based, and it goes through like the real sustainable waste management. So yes, that was for me a factor that I decided to come back to academia and test some of the problems that I faced and gaps that I see in the industry.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hanie. Now we have some questions to Andrea. I think Mohammed is studying the same program, the WASTE program, and he says that it's difficult to find jobs in Germany outside of project management because of the German level that it's required for these positions. So, and he says, like you mentioned about finding the passion. So he's asking if it will be okay to find a job and then try to see afterwards if you can find the passion, because it's not easy to find the job that you want right now. Maybe it's not what you are wanting in this moment. So maybe he's asking about what if I have an opportunity right now that it's not my passion, I take this job and then afterwards I look for my passion. Is this a correct way, or do you have any other advice?
I would say yes and no. I don't know. It's difficult to give advice because everyone else is on a different position. I would say, in a way, for internationals living in Germany or abroad in general, but especially in Europe, if you need a visa, if you want to stay in the country, and if you want to pay your bills, then you have to do what you have to do, I would say. If you can live with it, why not? I mean, for example, I can tell you about my first working experience in Germany. I actually took my first job in a company that was designing wastewater treatment plants for the food industry. It was very far away from where I was living. I had to move to a different city. And in the end, it wasn't paying the bills really, because I was getting paid as an starting engineer, a junior engineer with no experience in Germany, in a small company, paying for 2 apartments in 2 different places. So in the end, when I had the opportunity, I changed that position. But getting the first job, at least for me, the experience I had in Germany is quite difficult, because I must say it's not a cultural thing in general, that it's very close, but it's hard to get a first job. Someone has to believe in you. Someone has to believe that you can do it. And if someone gives you the opportunity, you can also take it and see that you get the best out of it, even if it's not your dream job. But you don't know that until you try it, because you don't even know. As I said, they can sell you something on paper or at the first visit or the first two visit or the assessment center that this is going to be the best place to work ever, or you think it's going to be really bad. But it can be that in between you discover that you really like your colleagues, you like the place, you like the city. So unless you try, I don't think there's a way to find out. That would be from my side. I don't know if Dave or Haniye think differently about their first experiences after graduating.
No, I'm that actually, to be honest, I have right now master students who are writing their PhD with me, and those who are also not non-Germans student. They have always this difficulty, and I'm always telling them that you are not alone. Even me, when it was the last phase of my PhD, I was confused. So I was lucky. I get lucky, but I see many of my students that have this challenge, and especially in Germany, you need to improve your skills. I would suggest it to during the study, but it's not late. Even if you are at the end of your study, it's important to improve your language. But even if you speak the language, it is, as Andrea explained, the first job, it is all the time very hard, because someone has to put their trust in you. And even if you imagine yourself in that shoe, you will understand why there is so much doubt for hiring a first junior employment. So don't afraid, start from small, and don't afraid to go to small cities and collect some experience. This is the way, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Definitely, you both put that well. Get some experience, but it may take tenacity, is the only thing I would add. Don't be afraid to keep asking people, speak to as many people as you can, but getting a bit of experience gets your foot in the door. And employers are looking for people who can demonstrate they can work and add value. And if you can show that through one job, you can then move beyond, either within that organization or elsewhere.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the reply. I think we have a question for Dave. Talha, it's asking, did you manage to find ways or research to go part-time funded PhD after you finish, like that you learned afterwards?
I'll be honest, I didn't. Maybe I was unlucky. I don't know. I mean, I would say, yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing a self-funded PhD. By any means. I mean, for me, I never set out to do a PhD. I wanted to take a research approach to an issue that I thought was a problem. As it happened, the easiest way to affiliate with the university was to register as a part-time PhD. So but there are such things out there. What I would suggest is the way to find them is to reach out to those research institutions that are doing the stuff you find interesting, and seek, get in touch with those researchers and seek those opportunities, because there are funded programs. For me, the timing was all wrong. I think if I'd started 2 or 3 years ago, like some colleagues did, I would have found a funded place, and my path would have been different. But as it was, I did it in a slightly different, more challenging, but in a sense, very interesting way. But yeah, so I would just suggest go out, do some research, find those programs that are offering the funded opportunities. I'm not personally aware of any part-time funded ones that kind of align to this sector, but there are definitely full-time funded ones in this sector that you can find.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and I think also, like when you are part of a networking group like this ISWA Young Professionals, then you get to know also people that maybe are working in academia or in industry, and they know that are available positions. So it's also nice to have a networking group where you can get also some connection, and it's valuable. So then also, and maybe they don't know about a position, but maybe they know about a department that it's working at the topic that you would like to work in the future. So then you can get some connection. So that's also helpful. I have seen this question 2 times, so maybe to Andrea. Have you ever thought about going to academia?
Cynthia, if I may just, sorry, before you answer, Andrea, I think I would like to add to that question, maybe for all of the three wonderful speakers today. Regarding, there's always, going from like corporate or career to academia and back and forth. How do you make that decision to leave, for example, your corporate job or working as a consultant like myself, being exposed to so many different projects? How do you make the decision to go towards academia where it's maybe more niche as a topic, and then after academia to go back into the corporate? Is it tough? Like, how did you make the decision to go, let's say, back and forth between academia and career?
I think this would be more for Dave, because you would have the more experience on that.
I'm happy to take that question first and then do pitch in. Yeah, how do we make the decision? I mean, for me, it comes down to your personal nature, I think, to a certain extent. I mean, I enjoy working with a range of different people, whether that's local communities or local government officers or people in international finance institutions. I like that mix, and I like the kind of the mix of projects that you get and exposure. A research environment is quite different, as I'm sure Hani and Andrea can also attest. It's a different kind of day-to-day working environment, and for me, I think, that appeals to me at different points in my career and my lifetime. And I think you just have to make that decision based on what working environment, and also the opportunity that arises in terms of the people you have the opportunity to work with. I mean, that's the main thing, as I was saying earlier, that the team at Leeds that I work with, I can genuinely say I really enjoy. I don't work directly with them now because some of them have moved on, but I really enjoyed working with them as individuals because they all had so much to offer, and we sparked off each other in terms of ideas. That's important, and I think that's the kind of thing that guides whether you go one way or another, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also from my side, just to chip in, I've thought about it. I also thought about it when I finished the master's degree. For me, it was also a bit of a financial decision, honestly. Joining corporate directly was easier for me after finishing my master's degree, because I had been self-financing the whole time that I moved overseas for the last 3 years. And in the end, I could have started a PhD position. They offered me only, though, half of the payment that I would have gotten in other positions. So that was really a black and white thing. These are my expenses in the month. I need a certain amount of money to survive, and I would like to eat every now and then outside. So, it was fairly easy. Of course, relating more into my work nowadays, I do think of going back or doing something similar to what Dave did. In the end, finding the right moment, I don't even believe in right moments anymore. Once you have your decision made, then you go with it. And I think I'm at a point where I would like to start, but I don't know yet where, maybe, probably, or what topic. I'm thinking about many different things, but until I find one that I really believe I want to work through for the next 5 years, it might take
Exactly
a little while.
my point. Yeah. I think that was my point, because I've always thought about, after my engineering degree, to go towards a master's or a PhD, but there's always this fear of sticking to one topic, and there's always this fear of getting stuck within that topic. What if I don't like it? Or so that I think that's where my question came from. Like, it's a bit, do you have any advice on, if someone wants to learn more but doesn't want to go towards, let's say, either a master's or a PhD, are there ways that people can learn more through, I don't know, maybe diplomas or different training courses? What's your opinion on that?
Oh, there are so many things you can look for. I mean, many companies also offer, for example, lifelong learning courses, even universities, different institutions. I think if you're really interested in a topic, you'll find something. It's just a thing of talking to people, digging more into whatever it is that you find interesting. And I think there are tons of opportunities there. Maybe not right away, but eventually, if you work on it, you'll find, or you make them yourself. You know, you can also start being an entrepreneur, start your own company if it's something that you really want to work on. So I think the path is quite open.
Yeah, I think we have some questions that were not answered, but we will try to come back later. Maybe we can share it by email with the presentations, with the YouTube link. But thank you so much to all the speakers, Haniye, Dave, Andrea. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Thank you for sharing with us your stories, your career path. You mentioned also like it's different for everyone. So we hope that we can give you some insights about how was for these three amazing people right now, how they are doing, how was the decision that they were facing. And yeah, thank you so much again for your help. And I hope this was really nice for you as well. And then see you again then maybe in another career talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
For
you.
the invitation.
Have a good day,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.